want to know whether Islam is a religion of peace, ask someone who studied it extensively from the inside. Someone like author Nabeel Qureshi. Take a look.
Nabeel Qureshi grew up in a loving American Muslim family. As a devout follower of Muhammad, Nabeel memorized portions of the Quran and believed Islam to be a religion of peace. But all that changed on September 11, 2001. For the first time, Nabeel was confronted with the stark reality of jihad. His search for answers about Islam ultimately led Nabeel to faith in Jesus Christ. Today, with terrorism in the name of Allah on the rise, Nabeel tackles the hot-button issue of modern-day jihad in a new book, Answering Jihad, A Better Way Forward.
CBN's Wendy Griffith recently spoke with Nabeel Qureshi about his book and whether or not Islam is really a religion of peace.
Well, let's talk about what happened in Belgium. Did the Quran influence these attacks on these innocent people in Belgium?
That's an excellent question. It takes a lot of background to discuss, but the long and short of it is that ever since the 1920s, when Muslims realized that they started losing power globally, the Ottoman Empire had just fallen, there was a desire for people to reform Islam. Muslims were saying, we need to start pleasing Allah again, we need to earn His favor. So since then, that was the specific effort of the Muslim Brotherhood. Since then, people have been saying, let's try to start following the Quran more, let's start following the Hadith more. And these reformist groups, as I call them, are the terrorist groups. This is ISIS, this is Boko Haram, this is Al-Qaeda. That is their goal. And so what we saw in Belgium was this Islamic Reformation movement that we're seeing, that they're following the Quran.
So they're getting their marching orders right out of the Quran then?
The Quran plus the traditions of Muhammad's life, the Hadith. Islam is not a sola scriptura faith, so a lot of this stuff comes from Muhammad's life, but yes, from the canonical texts.
Now you grew up in a loving Muslim home. Your family, most of them are still Muslim. Did you ever hear the concept of jihad growing up?
See, no, we didn't, because growing up, our family was very peaceful. The Muslims around us were very patriotic.
You grew up in Texas?
I grew up in Virginia, and I've lived all around.
Okay.
Texas has my heart, though. But yeah, we were taught that Islam was a religion of peace. And the thing was...
And your dad was in the military.
Exactly. My dad was in the U.S. Navy for 24 years. Between my uncles, we have over 100 years of U.S. military service in our family.
So you never heard about jihad, let's take over America, let's put the Muslim flag at the White House?
None
was
of that.
Never.
Never. There's, I mean, at least in our community and in the Muslims I have known, there's no vast conspiracy to take over America. Now, some Muslims maybe have that kind of a mentality, but the vast majority of Muslims in the U.S. are very peaceful, loving people. So we need to hold these two things in tension. The truth about what the Quran teaches versus the reality of how most Muslims live.
Well, it's good to know, because when these terrorist attacks happen, it's very hard to believe the concept that Islam is a religion of peace. But you're saying that can happen.
Well, I'm saying that the vast majority of Muslims are peaceful, but that doesn't mean the religion of Islam is not violent. And the fact is that many Muslims have their religion interpreted for them by imams and the like. But when you go to the Quran and to the texts, you can see why the violence is inspired through the canonical texts.
Nabeel, should we here in the West fear Sharia law coming here? We've already seen some cases being brought to us. Fortunately, I think some of them have been overturned, but should we fear Sharia law coming here?
Wendy, I like the way you put the question. Should we fear it? The vast majority of Muslims, again, are not trying to bring Sharia. Some might be trying to influence the West with Sharia laws. It's not going to supplant the Constitution. It really can't. It doesn't work that way. But should we as Christians fear? I don't think we have been given a spirit of fear. We've been given a spirit of power and love and self-control. So I don't think we as Christians ought to respond with fear.
As an expert in multiple religions, how would you suggest people respond to religious beliefs that are different from their own?
I think we should engage with conversation. We should engage with love. See, we've lost the word tolerance. We think tolerance means thinking everyone's beliefs are true. No, tolerance is disagreeing with someone and being able to discuss our disagreements while loving them. So I think we should tolerate in the true sense of the word and love even those who disagree with us.
And one last question. If the president was asking you, how do we defeat ISIS? What would you say?
I would say we first have to understand that this is related to Islam, but that doesn't mean we're throwing all the Muslims under the bus. We can love Muslims while criticizing Islam.
All right, great. Well, the book is called Answering Jihad, A Better Way Forward, and we certainly need that. Nabeel Qureshi, thanks so much for being with us, and God bless you. Great perspective.